Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the DJ Sessions presents the Virtual Sessions. I'm your host, Darren, and right now we have two wonderful guests coming in from Los Angeles, California today. We have, let's see if I get my pointing the fingers right. We got Stacy Walker and Travis Payne in a
What's up? What's
three-way.
up?
How you all doing today?
Great,
Good.
Dan. How are you?
Well,
It's so nice to see you.
I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the series today. It was a blast the last time I was on your show a few weeks ago and had a great time there. And now I get to have you on our show and ask all our juicy questions and talk with you about what it is that Travis and Stacy do.
We're thrilled. We are thrilled.
One of the things that you do and how we came across each other is both of you are in charge and produce a podcast series called Full Out. Tell our DJ Sessions fans a little bit about what Full Out is and how you got started.
Well, we're the real Travis and Stacy. Full Out Podcast is a brainchild that we've had for a while. We first started doing a web series called Remembering MJ during pandemic because we spent countless years with the King of Pop as creators, co-creators with him. And the podcast seemed like a natural progression for us. So we started to do that, and we are on our 7th or 8th episode now. We're enjoying some early success. We were able to land so it's great. We celebrate all things dance, music, arts, and entertainment.
Yeah, and we like to get personal too and kind of share what's going on in our life. You know, we've got a very eclectic group of followers. Obviously, a lot of Michael Jackson fans follow us because there's interest there, which is awesome because they're super loving and supportive. We've got a big international following because we've worked all over the world with our choreography and directing. And so we've got, it's really kind of a cool thing to do is to be able to talk to and connect with all these people from all over the world. And we've really been enjoying doing the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Is mind reading on your resume too? Because I was just going to ask you about your producing and choreography backgrounds, and you just kind of dropped it right there, Stacy. I always love it when guests do that on the show.
Oh yeah, she's a very efficient Virgo. Yeah, September 1. The Virgo is Virgo, I know.
August 23rd.
Yay! Happy almost birthday to you.
Yes,
right. It was funny. I was in an interview yesterday with a young lady from Australia, Lauren Yates. She does a show called Rave It Up out of Sydney, Australia. And it was interesting how parallel her growth was and as how I started kind of as a kid, but in grade school and high school, got started doing TV and radio and film and all that stuff. And it's just interesting kind of seeing the progress of people embracing podcasting as a medium nowadays. I've been podcasting for 17 years. The whole backbone of everything we do, of our servers and everything, it's literally a podcast series. But once live streaming came into play, I jumped into doing live streaming, and I just kind of like the rush of it. If we made a mistake right now, I'm like, I don't care because it's live. We're gonna have fun.
I think we've gotten more comfortable over the time. I think coming from a dance background, we're used to rehearsal, and we're used to being able to pull all our resources into one great performance and do it live. So it's not the live thing that scares us. I think it's just being directors, we love edits as well. You see, so I think learning to let go and just sort of have a conversation is good, and it's cool that we already spoke with you. So it's like talking to a friend again.
And that's how I started. But I hit that process when I'm doing a 3-camera shoot, and I set up. I would go out to nightclubs and set up 3 cameras, lights, everything, to get a 7-minute interview when the DJ would show up. Because I'd come into the club at 11:30 at night and have to go on stage at 12. So I'm trying to rush and get my interview knocked out, get home. I mean, it'd take me 4 to 6 hours just to edit one interview for 7 minutes.
Right.
Once I went to the live process, even why this process, now we do it live again with all our interviews, is because it's pretty much done in the can the second I'm done in the can. But I've been able to increase my output, where I might be doing 1 interview a day. I'm to 3, sometimes 4 interviews a day.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's really efficient. And also, sometimes with live, you get unexpected treats, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you get unexpected difficulties, but hopefully it all works out for the best, and it makes it more interesting because I think people these days are interested in the truth and the real deal. I think people are sick of all the polish.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
You know, a friend of mine and I go back and forth on this. He goes, everyone has a 4K camera in their pocket. Everyone can upload and do video. And I go, yeah, but if I want sponsors, they might want a polished look, or at least they're going to have some input on it. And if I'm approaching them and I have a competitor or 500 competitors that are also knocking on the door and they're like, who is making the better polished product? Who has the better questions? Who has the more in-depth interviews? Who has the most social following? And that's a huge one nowadays. I tell people all the time, you can be producing episodes, but if you can push them out to your Facebook friends, but there's so much more to marketing than just, putting it on the socials. Know your hashtags is probably one of the best pieces of advice I can give to anyone, especially if you have a niche, type of show, because those people, if they know how to use hashtags, will be following those hashtags.
Yeah.
Even trending hashtags can help increase your viewership 10, 100, 1,000-fold, and talk and get people that are influencers, and have them share the show as well. Ask, I think a lot of people, when they start podcasting, they get intimidated by celebrity. They're like, a lot of people say, I can't ask that person to be on the show. I'm too small of a show.
Right.
And, working in the industry, I worked in the industry, and like, I met some of the coolest people in the world because I said, could you come on my show? Like, right. Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Same with us. I think we learn too from every episode. Of course, we started with some people that we respect and admire in our world, but we learn more and more about these people and their journeys. And I think, to Stacy's point, people like seeing the behind the scenes and like hearing the stories as to why you got there and how you got there. I just did some work with Gene Simmons from KISS, and just hearing him pontificate about his history and connecting that to now, right? It's a art to that, part marketing, part experience, part been there, done that, part who cares, try it, balls to the wall. So I think that, I definitely was inspired by that. And I think we try to leave every episode having learned something, having inspired someone, having celebrated something worth celebrating, and that's been kind of the way we do it. And we have our own sort of like a little shorthand, and we just allow ourselves to be ourselves. And it's been working. I think that's why This Is It was so successful, because people never saw that kind of process from Michael Jackson, nor did he let it be seen.
Right.
But people really connected to seeing that other layer. And I think that for us as visual people, we are used to the polished thing, but there is some beauty in the imperfect sometimes.
And what I mean by polished, like your production can be polished, but the conversation can be a little spontaneous, right?
Yeah.
And you can have emotion, or you can, you don't have to be perfect and eloquent the whole time. That to me is like turn off, right? Like, I just want to talk. I want to hear someone be real and talk. Yeah.
In my first days of doing interviews, I remember this so fondly. I would show up and I'd be all calm and cool and collective. And, hi, my name's Darren. Nice to meet you. Da-da-da-da-da. I go, okay, you ready? And everything was ready. My camera, audio. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, great. In 5, 4, 3. Welcome back to the DJ Sessions, where we feature the best DJs from around the world. I'm your host. And that person sitting next to me would go, oh, shit. This is real professional. I didn't expect this. He was not going to act like that at all. And I bounce this out in one take. Very rarely. In the beginning, yes, when I first did my first hosting experience for my own series, I did 64 takes on my 30-second intro, and I stopped counting. And then I kind of just threw caution to the wind and kind of just got a pattern down, got a script down, and then kind of improv the script and roll with it as I go. But you would just see them perk up and be like, I did not expect this was going to happen. And then like 7 to 10 minutes later, and I go, boom, and I cut the interview. I go, and cut. I go, thank you very much for coming on the show. It was really nice to have you. And I go, that was a phenomenal interview, dude. I did not expect you to turn the juice on like that. And, because not a lot of people were watching online content. We were getting these interviews, but we were going through so many channels to get the interviews. By the time we sat down, our content really wasn't living online. Because we were going on broadcast television. So if the artist was from New York and they're here in Seattle, they would never see our show. This is 2005, even up until almost 2009. We didn't catch the whole YouTube bug. We did go to podcasting early on, but if they decided not to download the show and see what happened, they didn't know what to expect. So, and I think that style is just learned over time. A good reference that I like to go back and look on, Gary V. I'm sure you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is.
I've heard Gary V.
And this is years ago. He's talking to the camera. It's just him sitting at his desk. But is basically, to paraphrase, his whole thing that he's talking about is you got to start somewhere. And when you start out, it's probably going to be shit when you first start out. And what happens is in the top right-hand corner, or if I look at the screen right here, there's a picture in picture, and it's cycling through all of his past shows, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's counting up. And you can just see the progression of the lighting, the background, and everything just starts getting better and better and better and better till now it's like he's fully in it. You can just tell it's a fully produced show, but it was like at number 900 or something like that. It was just cycling through. It was really cool. And even I think Joe Rogan had said, go back and look at our original shows. They were piles of crap.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing. It was just a couple of people talking and we did this thing and then got this guest on. And, technology is always advancing. Like we just upgraded to Restream. So we can start doing live streaming interviews and no more pre-recorded stuff with the previous company we were using.
Right
shall
on.
not be named.
Understood.
Although Restream is not a sponsor of the DJ sessions yet.
It's the operative word. Yes.
But getting back to what you two do, though, you also teach live classes, master classes. Tell our DJ Sessions fans about that.
Well, we never really taught.
Our
whole career. No, I mean, we do teach now.
Okay.
You're right. But I was going to explain to you how that happened because, we're dancers who turned into choreographers, who turned into creative directors and producers and so forth. So our career has been very long. In fact, I just wanted to mention, you mentioned high school 3 hours ago, but Travis and I actually met when we were kids in Atlanta. Doing different professional jobs together. And so we have a very long history together, which is one reason I think our relationship is so successful. But, we come from the choreography, we come from jobs doing TV shows and tours and movies and all that kind of stuff. But when the pandemic hit, we were forced to think outside the box and do something different because there were no TV shows happening. There were no films. No one was going on tour. So we started teaching online, actually, and with a great company called I Coach Dance. And then slowly but surely, we started remembering, wow, this is kind of cool to connect with people and teach that younger generation and even pros that are working in the business now. And so, we started teaching and quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. So and it's been good. Mm-hmm. It's been good. And then we decided that, next phase up from that, of course, is in person live. So we've done a couple, maybe 2 or 3, Stacy, but the most recent at T. Millie in North Hollywood, which was great. And we'll do more of them both here and in Atlanta, where we're both from, and we're also part of MSA Educators, which is our agency. And like us, other creatives who work in the commercial world, find themselves as educators as well in their respective disciplines. And so for us, with a combined over 60 years of experience in this business, we can talk at length about different job experiences and different sort of preparations that any performer would need to have a professional career, not only as a dancer, but beyond. And we found that there's some value in being able to help guide young performers, toward their destinies. And we've definitely enjoyed being involved with that.
Well, mentioning, obviously with everyone in my world, seeing almost everyone jump online, or at least seeing the world start to accept online teaching as a real medium. I mean, I go back to when I was in college and there was no internet. I mean, to watch distance learning, the college had a station, which I ended up taking over and running student media services on when I was going to school there. So we could distribute shows to over 300,000 homes in our county. Little side note, but
Amen.
for watching distance learning, you would turn on to like channel 86, and that was the college station, and then you would watch your class on TV. And once distance learning came into play, I mean, it's been out there now, you know, a lot of online classes, but
Sure.
I think people now more so are understanding the benefits of being online.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend, who, by the way, is been doing ballet for 24 years and is a dance major.
Really?
She's really excited. I showed her the questions. I was telling you who I was interviewing today. She's like, "Oh my god, I wish I could be there." Maybe
Right
she's
on.
watching right now.
What's her name?
Sarah Morgan.
Shout out to Sarah.
Yeah,
Keep on
yeah.
dancing.
She's also a Pilates instructor, PT, physical trainer.
Okay.
And we're getting ready to build her site and get her. She like does short videos online, and I have a background in building websites and helping her out. And you know, I'm like, honey, we got to get you a podcast series or
Right
something
on.
people can subscribe to. Or she's already doing online live classes. She has clients in New York and all over. I mean, and she does group classes and PT and Pilates, by the way,
Yeah.
not ballet.
No, but
But,
that's great. That's what I'm saying.
you know,
People can
and-
find their niche and figure out how to market it and online. You're right. I mean, that's the pivot we were all
Yeah.
forced to be into. And some of us were there before, with 17 years in the game. But, you know, now I think that's the beauty of it too, that everybody's welcome, especially if you got something valuable or people perceive valuable to say and share, you know, so we're just going with it and we love it.
That's the piece of advice I give to anyone when they say, what's the best piece of advice you can give to somebody if they want to start a podcast series? I say, find something you really like. One, find out if there's anyone else talking about it, because I'm sure there is. I guarantee you there's a podcast on everything out there.
Of course.
And if it's not, well, then you're making the first go round of one.
Yeah.
Then go find the experts who know the most about that and ask them to be on your show.
Okay.
Now, you're
Right.
probably not going to get the top of the top at first, but there will be some people, at least in your probably local community, you can go out and start having discussions with. Or you might even be that podcaster that just starts out and you're the one just talking to the camera.
Yeah.
And you're the
I
one
love-
just.
Some
And
of
this
my
guy
favorites
wants
with
to have
solos.
this guy
Look at
wants
that.
to have his own podcast.
He should.
He's literally now jumped on the bed and is trying to get my attention.
Right, because he's like, you are doing things that don't involve me, and it's not going to work.
So you want to hear
That's
something
Oishi.
funny?
Hello, sir.
Funny about pets in the studio. A long time ago when we first started doing the DJ sessions, I had my cat Simbi, and Simbi would come up and sit in the middle of the bed in my bedroom because everyone thought I was in a studio, but we were really in my bedroom doing the shows. And
Right.
it was the one time Dave Dresden, world-renowned, huge DJ, Gabriel in Dresden, he came by and played my house. This is 2 months after we started doing the series. And he goes and picks up my cat off the bed and brings her into the studio and starts playing like putting her on the decks and playing with her, and then goes and sets her back down. I'm like, okay, she just got the name Simbi the Disco Cat.
Right.
That was Simbi the Disco Cat. And when we were ever doing the shows in our studio, if we were out of my house, she would jump up on the decks and just sit on the DJ table right in the front of the DJ table.
Yeah,
Because that's where my eyes were looking at, and she wanted to be the center of attention and know that I was looking at her.
wow.
She's your
Now-
mascot. She's your
Yeah,
mascot.
She is.
totally is. And now I'm watching my friends' two cats, Yama and Cobalt. Cobalt is probably about 17, 18 pounds, big guy. His brother, Yama, it looks like he's big, but he's really not small. But Yama's the talker. So if you start hearing a cat come out of the background, I'm meow, meow. You'll see
They're
me
singing.
during the show, and I'll reach down and be like,
Yeah, they're
That's
singing.
what I've been doing the whole time.
yeah, I love it. I love it. Pets in the studio are always fun.
Absolutely.
But going back to online instruction and the use of online distribution, I think it's just huge for so many people to find something. And again, even if you can't find anyone out there that's interested in your topic, do your research, know what you're going to talk about, and just have it bullet pointed out.
Yeah.
You know, because eventually you're going to talk, get yourself maybe an intro. You know, hi, I'm so-and-so, and this is my podcast. And thank you for listening to my podcast. I grew up listening to Paul Harvey a lot. My dad and I always listen to Paul Harvey every weekday at noon. It would come on. And he just remembered his signature sign-on and his signature sign-off. Maybe that's where it ingrained in my head and I got it from. But this has all kind of been a labor of love, too, of making it happen.
Yeah.
And right now, so by the way, I wanted to bring this up in addition to my girlfriend and I, we are actually watching. I sat with her the other day. I said, "You want to watch a movie, hun?" And she goes, "Yeah, I want to watch something." And I go, "Well, should we watch All That Jazz or should we watch A Chorus Line?"
Both
All that jazz.
I would. How to even decide?
I know, right?
Yes,
So,
I would pick All That Jazz. I love it.
yeah, I think
Same.
All That Jazz would be my go-to.
Same, except for the
but I-
Richie scene in A Chorus Line. Sorry, Greg Burge.
No,
The
no,
which one?
Chorus
We
is
got it.
great.
Surprise, Greg Burge, Richie in A Chorus Line, the movie.
Oh, in the movie, of
Surprise,
course,
the
yeah.
song Surprise, Greg Burge.
Yeah, yes.
Choreographed Michael Jackson's Bad short film. He's a legendary performer.
Really?
Legendary. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. Did not know that.
See, that's what
I
podcasts do.
I
You learn
cry
stuff.
every time I see that scene. No, wait, no, surprise. That guy. No, I love
Yeah.
that scene. I
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah, it's really comforting.
Yeah, with the burgundy and the white stripe and
Yes.
the black pants and the split and incredible facility.
I
and
was thinking
extension.
about another scene that's later in the movie.
That's okay.
But,
they're all good, but All That Jazz, I think we would say is the,
yeah.
Well, we love Fosse.
And my girlfriend, she's a huge Fosse fan, like huge Fosse fan. I think one of the first times I think I mentioned All That Jazz to her, and she came in. No, it was Cobalt the cat, and I said sometimes I call him Mr. Jangles.
yeah, okay.
And I'll tell you why it's Mr. Jangles, because I'm a huge Cats fan myself.
Okay.
In fact, it was the first musical I ever went to go see as a kid at 12 years old. My dad flew me down to San Francisco to see it on the big stage, like the big Broadway huge production. Seattle, we have too small of a stage. They can't do the whole big production here. But so I named him, like, one of his nicknames is Mr. Jangles. And she goes, "Wait, did you just say Mr. Bojangles?" I'm like, "No, but I do know the song. That's why I named him Mr. Jangles."
Yeah.
She goes, "I want to play you a song." And she had played the one of the I know the actor's name. I believe it was the guy who played in All That Jazz as one of his best friends, or at least he was the announcer.
Jr.
See, I knew. That's what I told her. I said the song was based off of Sammy James Jr.
Yeah, Mr. Bojangles.
Mr. Bojangles was, but the guy who does it on performance, there's a white guy and a black guy. The black guy, he plays in the movie All That Jazz.
Oh, okay.
And he's the one dancing on the stage. It looked like it was some Broadway production or something, but this very talented singer, and they both dance at the same time. They're both doing like Fosse-esque dancing. It was just awesome.
That's okay. Keep going, because we're friends, and that's the kind of blank we have when we are trying to recall real quick. But that's why we have Google.
We have the internet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But in fact, Stacy, we just
I got it right here. Dude, I'm fast on it.
Yeah.
Ben Vereen.
I was just crazy.
And Edward Liang.
Yeah, we just saw Ben Vereen in Las Vegas when we went to see Paula Abdul on the Vegas Strip.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that was a good show.
Paula Abdul, Straight Up. I think Straight Up was one of the first cassette singles I ever bought when I was a kid back in 80s, right? 89.
Yeah.
89, 90.
89, something like that.
Yeah.
Straight Up. That's when she was dating Arsenio. He was in that video.
I
think we knew a lot of those things.
Love Me, or Straight Up. I think so. It was the David Fincher did the Straight Up. But we love Paula. She's one of our heroes. You know, and on our show we celebrate a dance hero every episode.
Nice.
You know, I think she was like first or second episode, but you know, we've gotten to work with her several times. We're still in communication to this day. Just saw her a few weeks ago at MSA's production that they did in North Hollywood. And yeah, she's still the GOAT. She's still amazing.
She can still dance her ass off. I mean,
And earlier you brought up Michael Jackson. That's kind of Jackson. Yeah. Funny enough, I always liked the video. I thought it was interesting, and not a lot. People probably caught it later in life, but it was "Nasty Girl" by Janet Jackson. And at the end of the scene, you got Paula in the scene. She's in the theater eating popcorn, like nasty. Boy. If you didn't know, and it's like, oh, that choreo. And I think she helped with the choreograph on.
Oh, of course, yeah, she choreographed that.
But here's one thing I want to ask you about, and because we're talking about Fosse, we mentioned the Jacksons.
Yeah.
Is it really truly rumored that Bob Fosse created the moonwalk and Michael Jackson stole it from him? Because I heard that Fosse did the moonwalk in the film The Little Prince.
Here's the thing. even before that, there was an African-American performer who did it like the Chitlin Circuit. You have all those great unsung heroes, that were even captured in black and white film. And so originally, and I can't call the gentleman's name right now, but that was the first time anything looking like the moonwalk happened, right? And it was recorded. And then later in the Fosse piece, the famous Fosse piece that was an inspiration for Billie Jean and some of the Michael Jackson's other shapes, was where it then in color. And then Michael took that and then put his thing on it, and then the street dance sensibility and his popping and his ticking and the locking and all those sort of vocabulary things that he brought to it, and then sort of made it his own, and then made a sideways version, which was a glide, and then made a version where you could do it in a circle. So it all evolved, but I think it became like so many artistic moments or ideas or concepts from our forefathers, those who didn't really sort of get the exposure that they get to get now because of podcasts. And another thing about podcasts, our biggest audience happens to be collectively in Japan because of Michael Jackson. So we, like to Stacy's point, have this international audience, even though we're Americans. And that kind of exposure has come because of Michael and Gaga and Janet and, the work that we've done with many others. But that's the beauty of it, is that in this 5 minutes, we learned something about, Fosse and Ben Vereen and, the moonwalk. And, we can bounce around and do, it's just great. But that's the long answer.
And this is a question for both of you, and Stacy, will go with you first.
Okay.
What is your top number one favorite production? Watching, not performing, watching.
There's probably so many, but one thing that comes to my mind is Madonna's live tour, the Girly Show.
Girly Show Down Under.
I love that tour. It was, when was it, Travis? But was that like back in the 90s? 95? Okay. It was just, to me, a great,
95, 96.
A very thorough, well put together live show where it wasn't just a concert with singing and dancing. There was like a thread. There was almost a storyline, not quite a storyline, not like a Broadway show, but it was really well done. It was very pushing the envelope, a little risque. I just loved everything about that specific live show.
Yeah, that was I'm like the wonderful thing about the internet, pulling it up. I remember those years, and that was when it was 92. And it was when Erotica had come out.
Oh, love that.
And
the
that
show
was
opened with Erotica.
Great. That was such a great album. Apparently, the concert was divided into thematic sections: Dominatrix, Studio 54, Weimar Cabaret, and an encore. Yep. I do remember seeing some of that, obviously, on clips on MTV. I never got to see this show itself, but Madonna's always been queen in my book.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got to work with her on the what was it? We did the Power of Goodbye music video. Matthew Wilson directed, but I actually got to go to the Girly Show in Mexico because at the same time I was on Michael Jackson's Dangerous tour. And for the first time in history, both artists were in Mexico City at the same time. So we went back and forth to each other's shows. And the first time I met Madonna, can you imagine? So that's a bit of music history for you.
That's probably the closest. I'm sorry, keep going.
No. It's good. It's a good one. Take your time.
No, the closest that I've ever heard of my dream show ever happening. And it would be Prince, Madonna, Michael Jackson.
Oh, that would be phenomenal.
I think in that order, of course,
I can't believe it never happened because they all respected each other so much.
And I would have thought that they might have put something together like a 3-day festival and let each one of them then close the show on the way out. Like,
that's a
Friday's
idea.
Prince, Saturday's Madonna, Sunday's Michael Jackson,
with
a big festival concert with 250,000 people or something crazy.
That would have been amazing. I think that would have been amazing. But just so happened that the touring cycles were the same. And the Dangerous tour and the Girly Show wound up in Mexico City. We got to go to a couple of the shows each. And I remember the first time I met Madonna, I was in the audience. Some of her dancers, had invited us, and I was in the audience during the sound check, and I was smoking a cigarette and sitting there smoking, and just outside, we were in a field. And They were in the section. They're doing something, and she stopped and she said, "Hey, I know you're." She said something smart. She was like, "I see you, Travis, and put out that cigarette." Right? And she goes like, she said something like, "Doesn't he teach you any manners?" Talking about Michael, right? And I go, "He kind of lets us do what we want." And she laughed. And then in the show later, I was standing in the barricade, right, close to the runway, with her brother Christopher, and it was the military section holiday, Stacy, and we were standing there watching the show, full show, Mexico City. I mean, wall to wall people, and I was smoking a cigarette, and she said, she stopped me. She goes, "I told you to put out that bleeping cigarette," right there in front of the whole crowd. And then I did. I was like, "Yes, Your Highness, yes. Physically is moving. Yes, another mistress."
Oh my god!
But it was awesome. It was awesome. I told her the story when he did.
I'm like,
about
I could. I would just. I feel like I'm feeling mortification. Like,
yeah. Oh no! The mortification came when we go backstage, and I had bought this T-shirt on the way into the arena, and it was a black T-shirt, and it had a witch on a broomstick, and it said "Girly Show." So I walk up and I meet Madonna, and she goes, "Nice shirt." And I realized, I'm like, I am literally wearing a Broomhilda shirt. But it was amazing. She was a great sport about it.
That's awesome.
There's a couple of them.
Travis, did we cover your favorite production yet? I don't think we
did.
did. Stacy's was.
We didn't, and I know Stacy. I get it. Yes, Girly Show. It's, as you can imagine, hard for me, but I would do something that we had no connection to. I just enjoyed going and went many times, and it became like a ritual for me. I would go see La Rev at the Wynn Resort and Spa in Las Vegas, and my mother and I loved to vacation there. And when the show was running, I would go see La Rev, and I made it a thing to go see it like on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and it would always be special. And that was kind of like my modern day sort of Nutcracker, which I love as well, Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, La Rev. If you don't know what La Rev is, it's a
Dragon.
show. It's Dragon, who used to be with Cirque, so it's a Cirque-like show for those of you that don't know who Dragon is. But and it was sort of similar to O, because it's water. There's water elements in it. But it was a very
beautiful love scene.
Yeah, really,
in the
really
round. In the round with amazing acrobats and dancers and magicians.
Apparently,
really cool.
no seat is further than 42 feet away from the stage.
Is that true?
Well, that's what it says on the sheet when I looked
Well, it's good because also too in that show, sometimes in some moments you can get wet. Like it is an attraction, so there are little surprises, but it's closed. Huh, Stacy? It doesn't run anymore.
It's closed. Yeah. It closed. Yeah. Probably around the pandemic, maybe before the pandemic, actually.
Right.
A friend of ours re-choreographed that.
Yeah. Marguerite.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
What about you, Darren? Do you have a favorite live show?
Cats.
Right. Okay.
So let me tell you, Darren, this story. When I went to see Cats is my least favorite show. Because when I went to see Cats, literally, I thought, oh my God, is every cat gonna sing a song? Like, it just seemed like this is gonna take forever. But I'm horrible because I'm not a big Broadway person, which is funny. I feel guilty for saying that, but I'm not a big Broadway person. So it takes a lot for me to really like it, because it's kind of our work in a way. So, it's like, I have a great appreciation for it. Yet if I'm going to sit there and watch it, it has to be really good.
Right.
But that's funny. That just made me laugh. I'm sorry, but Cats is wonderful, obviously, because it had great success. So I'm the weird one.
Oh no, I think Cats is interesting. It's an interesting concept, and I think a cat person just loves it. Just imagine the same thing with dogs, right? If it were a doggy musical, you have a different sort of affection for it.
I will say that I was not impressed with the movie, though.
I don't think anybody was.
No, I mean, how it was pushed, how it was released so quickly and kind of just felt, let's get this out. I think they could have done a better job with the movie itself, and it kind of takes away, the storyline is there, but it's not the original storyline about the cats all trying to get to the Heaviside Lair. It's a story of this one cat that's going through and kind of witnessing what they're all doing, trying to get to the Heaviside Lair. But I felt there was just components left out. Let's make it a 90-minute film, or let's make it 87-minute, or whatever it was, to compartmentalize. And I was like,
I was watching something yesterday about the best little whorehouse in Texas, which I'm gonna make it make sense, but they were saying that the movie was such a derivative of the Broadway show that they almost weren't the same production. And Dolly Parton was the first celebrity I met in LA when I moved here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very
and of course, you know, one of our favorite movies of all time is Still Magnolias. I sent Stacy a clip yesterday because the Still Magnolias section is really, really good.
Steel Magnolias is our favorite real movie. But coming back to like theatrical productions made into movies, I think the best one was Chicago.
Chicago.
I mean, as a live show, it had great success, but a lot of people didn't care for it much because it was very simple, not a lot of production value. But the movie, I was like, that is the first time I actually saw a musical make sense. Because usually it's like, why are those people singing? Like, why do they just break into song? Like, it's weird, you know, and that's our business. But Chicago, I was like, wow, that made sense. That was so smart the way they did that.
That was our friend Rob Marshall who directed that. Yeah.
There was
amazing.
There was a meme I saw the other day, and I'm going to try to remember it word for word, but it was something like this. Somebody once said to me, I don't like musicals because that's not the way we talk in real life.
Right.
I immediately unfriended that person.
Right. I understand.
It's like, I think that's what it kind of, that was the gist of it. I'm like, yeah, of course that's not how we talk in real life because they're musicals. Like,
right.
You know,
it's escape. It's escapism. It's great sound book. It's a wonderful score. It's, you know, it's for art's sake. You know, it's there to be appreciated.
I will say there is one that I do want to see, and I did meet the understudy back in 2005 for Glinda the Good Witch, is Wicked.
Of course.
I hadn't met, I was working at the Apple store up here in Seattle, and the father and the daughter there, they were buying a computer, and he goes, oh, by the way, my daughter, she's the understudy for the first person who did it. Yeah. And I was listening to Wicked the other day. We took a road trip, me and my girlfriend, and she put in the Wicked soundtrack, and I'm like, this is really kind of kick ass. I like this. And I knew the premise of it. You know, I knew how it was them in college and what's going on, but I never got that in depth with it and listened to the words. I also did like Into the Woods, but I never saw it in person.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of a fun one.
I saw the movie, you know, I think Meryl Streep was in it. And
the production I saw was a stage production filmed with, I think, Bernadette Peters.
Who I love and worked with in Cinderella with Brandy.
Oh, I like her a lot. She's unique.
I love Bernadette Peters. The first Broadway musical I ever saw was Dreamgirls with the original cast: Jennifer Holliday, Shirley Ralph.
Really?
Loretta Devine. Yeah. And that was assisted by Michael Peters. It transformed me. I was 10. Yeah, I was 10, and it just And then you know it makes me think of and of course I think that was who did Dreamgirls? Stacy. Was that Jerome Robbins? Or
yeah, I think so.
It was Robbins, I believe. Yeah. And then Michael Peters assisted him.
Okay, I didn't know Michael Peters assisted.
I think he did.
Okay.
And now, you know, Michael Jackson has his Broadway show, you know, with Miles Frost and our brothers and proteges, Rich and Tom Talaway, choreographed that along with Christopher Wilden, the director, and they just won some Tony Awards. And so, you know, the theater will always be here. You know, it will always be here. There've been a successful return of musicals. You know, there've been obviously the Mercury and, you know, Elton John and those people like the Madonna concert girly show who can pull the theater into a rock arena. You know, that's, I think, what gets us most excited because it's the best of both worlds. Michael Jackson did that famously. There was always theatrics, you know, because you're supposed to escape. The show is supposed to, you know, Michael would say, if they are not talking about our concert the next day, we have not done our job. We have to disrupt their sleeping pattern. We have to make them want to come back the next day and see it again. You know, and you get to do that in live theater or live concerts. But but film is cameras and it's forever. So I think we find joy in all of it, and when they can, sort of all come together, that's euphoria for me.
And have you two ever worked with any of the bigger electronic music shows to do any choreographing for stage performers for those kind of events?
We haven't yet. We haven't yet. Speaking of electronic musical shows,
but I mean,
we've gone.
I would say
to a few.
I would say when we have directed some K-pop tours,
Okay.
they had a lot of sort of electronic music wrapped into their music.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of DJ inspired. We've had scenes with DJs and all that, of course, too, which is very cool. But K-pop is a cool beast of its own. Like they do some really. Are you familiar, Darren?
I am only through Beat Saber that I play on my Oculus, but
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I'm very. Yeah, I am familiar with the genre and a little bit of the history on it. But yeah, they're
yeah. I mean, but
yeah,
they've got a lot of electric influence there, but also a lot of Western, specifically like Atlanta, Southern, hip hop, sort of trap music too, infused in the K-pop. And I think it's pretty amazing, that music, especially dance style music, can be woven into all of these different lanes, and it still feels good. It's really, really cool.
And for somebody that's looking to take it off the nightclub floor and maybe say, I want to maybe do this professionally, or what age do you think somebody should get started at or in doing this? Should the parents be nurturing this at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? I've seen kids that small be in classes before.
Yes, I mean,
I think that's good.
At what age?
I started when I was 5, but then I know, especially, I know quite a few male dancers, especially, that didn't even start till they were 20 and went on to have extraordinary careers. So, I mean, certainly the more experience you have, obviously the better chance you have of becoming, greater. Yeah. But also there is a little bit of a God-given gift, I think. I mean, you can definitely learn choreography, but what's hard to learn is how to perform it, right? How to really sell it and act it. And like that kind of thing is much harder to teach. So I think, yeah, you can be 5, you can be 10, you can be 15, you can be 20, but it sort of depends on your God-given gift wrapped into your education.
As well as, I think, too, your openness, because I think the older you are, the harder it is for you to sort of open yourself up to just looking stupid or trying things, I started at 9, but like Stacy said, many of our contemporaries started much later, but I think just like growing a body, you're concerned about what you put in it. So I think that any person who's learning from a dance educator, you want that educator to know what they're talking about, because a blind leading the blind does not a good dancer make. But I feel like you can have as much experience and take different classes, try different auditions, go do, community theater before you step into a big audition, research, look up stuff. You can watch any dance movie, and tons of documentaries, online, except for the ones we're working on that give you access and behind-the-scenes look. But there's stuff if you're into it, and if you're a sponge and you're willing, it's possible.
Both the answers you gave, again, flashback me to watching a chorus line the other night, and just remember Michael Douglas when he's asking the questions, or the Asian dancer, she's like dancing. He goes, "Do you have any taps?" She's like, "It's not my strongest point."
Right, Connie Wong. Yeah.
He's not my strongest singer. He's like, "Do you have any acting experience?" No. And it's like, okay, what are we gonna do?
Connie Wong, never white.
Connie Wong, never white.
Yeah.
Yep. And really, a chorus line to me isn't weirdly, it's not a great example of the audition experience. But if you want a great example of the audition experience, look at This Is It, because that shows you the whole experience from arriving at the audition, signing in, the nerves, auditioning, getting the job, rehearsing for the job. Like it kind of takes you through that whole experience, and it's pretty incredible. And like Travis said, early on in this interview, you never would have seen that if Michael was still alive, because that was definitely behind the scenes, not meant to be seen by anyone.
Yeah.
It just so happened he always archived, or he always had shot footage of everything just to archive, just to have, just to refer to, just to, for whatever reason. So
to document so that we can look at it later.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool movie for people to see. I think that the fans, especially, and even non-fans, enjoyed it, because it's really a peek into how a huge tour is made.
Yeah, and I think too, an audition is a very interesting thing too, because some people just don't audition well. Some people thrive in auditions and love the nerves. Some people just don't. So
Travis is a good auditioner. I'm not a great auditioner.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, I get to show off. I get permission to show off. So it's like that never bothered me. But sometimes that's the artist is just as varied, as any, the dancer, because it's going to be some people who can do things and some people who just can't, but they can learn to, especially if you stick with it and learn from the mistake. But you got to try, and you got to start somewhere. And it doesn't matter, back to everybody's got a 4K camera now and can point it at themselves, but it's what you put in that frame, and the passion behind it and your care for it that resonates to people, and they'll follow it and they'll support it.
My first audition that I ever went on was for a small play here in downtown Seattle, small little community theater kind of thing. And they made me the lighting designer.
Yeah, love it. Give me a peach gel, I'm yours.
I had more of a technical background than I did acting anyways. I don't know. I mean, at that point in my life, I was 20 some odd years old. I had no formal acting training, no camera experience, barely anything. They're like, well, what other skills do you have? I go, well, I know how to do lighting. I can do audio. I can, technically I can do video stuff. And like, do you want to be our lighting designer and program our lights for all the shows and then work the whole lighting board and do all that for our shows? It was like a 2-week run or something. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. It's my entrance into theater. Yeah, let's go. So that was kind of fun. But then I found out that I like being the executive producer.
Hey, points, royalties, residuals.
Thanks. Exactly. I want my points. Give me my points.
Yes, that's another thing we preach to everybody, coming up. It's like, it's great. For a while, you're going to be a vessel. You're going to facilitate someone else's vision. But at a point, you got to start having your own vision and be able to monetize your own gifts, in a way that's not, that's not offensive to anyone. But, if you're able to put a value to something that you really feel strongly about and are good at it, I think you owe it to people, because if we didn't have those that came before us that inspired us, who knows, where we'd be. They didn't have this medium before. Now we have the ability to influence folks way in Japan and the UK and Brazil, which are big markets for us, right for like, it's fun.
Absolutely. If there was one piece of advice you could give to an up and coming performer or student, this is for each of you, and we'll start with Stacy. I got to always make sure to point the right way. Yes. Stacy, what would that piece of advice be?
I don't know. I've got a lot of little pieces of advice. I guess I would start out with, a saying that I say a lot is that your talent can get you a job, but your work ethic will get you a career. And I really believe that wholeheartedly. I think, especially in LA, there's 5,000 people that can do the job. Honestly, there's so many people that can do the job, but if you're not going to show up on time and if you're not pleasant to work with and, all that stuff, it's not really worth it to hire you. So I do think your personality and work ethic is, pretty important. I would also just warn people that it's not always about talent. Talent is always a part of it for sure, but sometimes you get hired because of your height or your hair color, or you're shorter than the artist or taller or whatever it may be, or you look like you could be someone's sister, or, there's so many reasons why you get hired or don't get hired. So good example of why you shouldn't take things personally, although we still all do, because we're human and that's just how it is. But I guess those would be two of my little pieces of advice.
Yes.
And Travis?
I would say learn a little bit about a lot. If you know a little bit about everyone's job, you'll see how your job not only, works in the whole, but obviously when you're looking to advance or, expand your artistry, from say dancer to choreographer to director and producer, that's only possible because we care to learn more than what our job is showing, right?
Right.
So we try to stay students of the arts and remain sponges to a certain degree, especially now with new media and new distribution and, all of the sort of virtual environments that are coming, and how what we do is going to really win because we're visual people. It's just up to us to harness it and figure out the best fit for us. So I think that anybody, coming in or somebody here, just learn as much as you can. Stay a sponge because you're gonna pull from it one day in a time don't even, expect. And the other thing I would say, David Foster told me, he was like, remember people's names. People like hearing their name.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I try to do that. I'm not great at it, but I do try to repeat people's names because it does make you feel important and seen and like, oh, they know who I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's good. There's many of them. There's tons. And we always do talk about something and leave, some type of parting nugget on our Full Out podcast. And so we hope that helps.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like that. Learn a little about everything because my talent, when I used to have talent, they were signed on just to be a host or hostess of the show.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? If you learn how to just set up that light stand or work that tripod, maybe know that, okay, the red button is record and you hit it once, it goes, and you hit it again and it stops.
Yeah.
That can be a big help because you aren't just standing around not doing anything, waiting for your, to hit your mark.
Right.
It's like, oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to get in the rest of the gear out of the car. Maybe you could set up these light stands for me.
Yeah.
And now you know how to set up a light stand. Or, hey, check this out. Do you know it's adjustable? And you can turn the knob and go from, the temperature of the lighting and the intensity and brightness or here, and it just familiarize them with more of the stuff that people don't see behind the camera. Everyone just thinks it's like so easy. You just pick up a phone, go boop, and I'm recording, and that's all it goes. When really I got green screen behind me. I got 2 lights over here with barn doors. I got my microphone all set up, ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
But people might think, oh, it's so easy. He's just talking in front of a camera to 2 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I got to go do my research.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. I mean, when you're good at it, I guess it becomes easy. Or if you have a good partner like I have with Travis, the easiest part for us is the recording the actual podcast because we have no problem talking to each other and flowing. And if we get off subject, we're cool with that. Get back on. I mean, we're really, that part of it's easy. But like you said, there's a lot that goes into it before and after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I know we're going to let you get going here really quickly. Is there anything else the 2 of you would like to say about anything you're working on, anything coming up you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about?
Well, I think your DJ Sessions fans should know that, MJ1 is running in Las Vegas, just like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough again on Broadway. And we usually do a annual birthday gala in August in Las Vegas for MJ1. So we might be there this year. Hopefully people will check that out. Of course, we are Trav Stace on Twitter. And we're The Real Travis Stacy on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And we've got our Full Out podcast. We drop a new one every Saturday. That's available almost everywhere. We do Stitcher, we do Apple Music, we do iHeartRadio, Spotify, and others. But we're super thrilled about that, and we're excited. And of course, I have a website, it's TravisPayne.com. We are The Real Travis and Stacy, but of course we have our individual socials. Stacy is Stacy Alexis Walker on Instagram, and I'm Travis Payne 1.
Yeah, and do check out our social media and our link tree. It tells you what we're up to, what classes we have going on, how to get to our podcast and all that. And check out our podcast because you might see Darren.
Yes, you might coming up. And of course, we cannot do DJ Sessions without me shouting out my DJ fans.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
That DJ Nabs, of course, DJ Nabs and DJ Fabian out of Las Vegas, but love those guys especially.
Yeah. And we'll pop that Instagram up because it's right there. The Real Travis and Stacy on Instagram.
Yes.
Mention that there. Best place to go to. Well, again, thank you both so much for coming on. I know it's LA time. It's 4 p.m. in our respective time zones. Very rare that I get to interview somebody in the same time zone. So you two have a wonderful evening, and thank you for coming on the DJ sessions today.
Thank you, Darren. It was our
You're
pleasure.
welcome.
Thank you.
Our pleasure, and hopefully we can come back. I'm going to introduce you to Sho Hirasawa, who's
absolutely. Well,
I've been working with, and he's amazing. He records all his vocals, all his music, his live vocals, like 300 to 500 tracks per song. So we've been working on his album for about 5 years.
I think I may have told you during the interview. Did I tell you both we launched a new division of our company down in Phoenix, Arizona?
I think you did.
And it puts us in a hop, skip, and a jump to Vegas, LA, and San Diego now. So we will be doing. Our goal is to start doing some more stuff down in the southwest corner of the nation, but based out of Phoenix. But LA being just a hop, skip, and a jump to go over there. We work closely with a few nightclubs and event producers in the Phoenix area, and rumor has it. Well, I shouldn't say rumor, but they're in talks of purchasing a nightclub in LA. Awesome. So if that happens, we'll start to go back and forth. And
I think that'd be great, especially when we're talking about what that experience is going to be. Environments. I mean, let's not forget we opened Win, we opened the Encore XS Club. That's where I met DJ Fabian at that. But
I like all those places.
So yeah, and it's so varied. You know, one day we might be opening a world famous nightclub, or we might be choreographing a target commercial or doing a huge project with a super music pop act. So it's always a new and fun and exciting experience. We also have Travis Japan, who to our fans and our friends in Japan, because that's one of our biggest markets. It remains one of our biggest markets, we have to say. Konnichiwa to them. Travis Japan, check them out too. The Travis Japan official on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, Stacy, Travis, thank you again for coming on the show. Again, check them out. Find them online. The Real Travis and Stacy. Check out the podcast series. Subscribe to it. Make sure you find out everything they're up to. And use that link tree to find out all their other socials. On that note, we're going to get going here. You're both very welcome. Thank you for coming on the series today. We're going to get going because you know what time it's for me to do my outro, and I'm going to drop the website. Go to our website, thedjsessions.com. You'll find all our socials there, the TikToks, the Instagrams. Well, you'll see cooking videos on TikTok because we're just developing that right now. I love making cooking videos on TikTok. I get a kick out of it. I'm still learning that system. But Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Meta, find us in virtual reality even. We got virtual reality nightclubs that we just soft launched in Altspace. We're on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. Well, Apple TV is coming soon. Google Play, everywhere. The DJ Sessions, but all that information is at thedjsessions.com. That's the Real Travis and Tracy coming in from LA. I'm Darren, coming to you from the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington for the virtual sessions. And remember, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.
Thank you.